Live from KLKN TV in Lincoln, this is Channel 8 Eyewitness News at 10.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Rod Fowler. Vanessa Brown has the night off. It's a video that a lot of people are talking about. Shane Tilley being tackled by a Lincoln police officer yesterday after he escaped from the Lincoln Regional Center. So what's going to happen next to Tilley? Channel 8 Eyewitness News reporter Ashley Larson joins us now with more in tonight's top story.
This is how the manhunt ended for Shane Tilley. Lincoln police officer Dwayne Winkler tackling the 22-year-old to the ground near Van Dorn and Park Boulevard in southwest Lincoln. It was all caught on tape because it was our media partners, Action 3 News, that spotted Tilley.
He was so nonchalant. He didn't look angry or mean. He looked worn out, completely worn out and just sopping wet.
Molly Graham's photographer even talked with the man who admitted to stabbing Andy Lubin 24 times back in 2006. She immediately called 911.
My heart's beating so fast, it literally took 1 minute before police were on scene and chasing after him.
Police finally nabbed him and he was brought back to the regional center, but he'll face no charges for all of this. That's because Tilley was never convicted of killing Lubin. He was found not guilty by reason of insanity since he was high on cough medicine at the time. County Attorney Gary Lacey says he's only in the center getting treatment and can't get charged with escaping. Back in 2008, AG John Bruning backed legislation to get rid of the not guilty plea by reason of insanity for those who committed a crime while drunk or high. Andy Lubin's father agreed.
We can't have people living in our society doing that stuff and going out and killing somebody.
That measure never got anywhere, but Senator Kobe Koash says if similar legislation is brought up, it's something they'd need to take another look at.
Just because it wasn't successful then doesn't mean it won't be again, and this kind of event really makes us take a hard look at that kind of legislation.
Ironically, officers had a command station set up in the same exact area that Tilley was caught, but they ended up calling the search off around 4 o'clock after no luck. But like you heard Molly said, it literally took officers 1 minute to get on scene.
Ashley Larson, thank you. While the search was on for Tilley, phone messages were being sent out to many of you warning of his escape. Residents nearby, like Bonnie Williams, were well aware of Tilley's escape because of the message. In a matter of 3 minutes, the Lancaster County Emergency Manager was able to make contact with nearly 3,000 Lincoln households. If you live within the 68523 or 512 zip codes and have a landline, you most likely got a message.
There was an escapee from the regional center, and he was extremely dangerous.
Doug Alberg says the system was created for times of emergency. The messages can be delivered in 150 different languages or dialects. In other news now, engineers are investigating what caused a bridge to collapse in Wilderness Park yesterday. It all happened while some school children were on it. Channel 8 Eyewitness News reporter Kaylee Nicole has the latest for us. Kaylee?
That's right, Rod. Wilderness Park hosts nature camps all summer long. So as the campers and their counselors tell us, they would have never expected a bridge collapse during a routine hike.
We just heard a really loud snap, and then it just fell.
11:30 Wednesday morning, around 20 children and their wilderness camp counselors fight their fear as the structure they were standing on partially collapses.
I was kind of nervous because I knew that there was a bunch of little kids that could barely swim and that were not as smart as some of the older kids that were on the bridge. So my first instinct was to help them get off first.
An act that may have helped keep camper injuries minor, a relief to the camp counselors and city officials. In response to the bridge collapse, law enforcement blocked off this bridge and one of the other 11 bridges in the park as a precaution. Engineers are on site investigating the 7-year-old pedestrian bridge, but one of the on-site camp counselors says she already has a theory about what caused the collapse.
With all the rain we've had, erosion, the shaking of just anybody riding bike across it or anything probably added to it.
But former city councilman Kurt Donaldson, who built the bridge with the help of Olson Engineering Associates, says not even inclement weather or all the people on the bridge should have caused the failure. But whatever did won't be released until next week. We know one question that crossed people's minds was, were there too many people on the bridge? Well, Donaldson says even with 20 people on it, it was far below the weight capacity the bridge can hold, and a bridge should be able to last far longer than just 7 years.
All right, thank you, Kaylee. A fiery scene from the McCook Airport in western Nebraska today. A crop duster taxied into a parked plane. The crash ignited an explosion, and both planes caught on fire. Authorities say the pilot of the crop duster is in the hospital with burns on his face, hands, and chest. No one was aboard the parked plane, but authorities say people were walking out to board it when the accident happened. Police have identified the bodies of a man and woman found near the Omaha Henry Dorley Zoo this morning. They say they're 43-year-old Michael Anderson and 23-year-old Paige Miller, both of Omaha. A zoo worker found them around 4 a.m. this morning along a fence south of the zoo entrance. The crime scene wasn't what visitors were expecting to see.
We live in times where you just don't know what's going to happen from day to day. So the main thing we do is just pray and just, trust in God that everything's going to be all right. And, we just go on. I mean, you could have a homicide investigating right outside your home.
Police have not yet said how the man and woman died. New information tonight on the New York man who triggered an Amber Alert here in Nebraska. Robert Olney faces federal charges. He's accused of driving a 16-year-old girl from Ainsworth, Nebraska to Arkansas after they met online. Court documents say Olney and the girl had sex several times as they traveled to Arkansas, where he surrendered. He could face life in prison if convicted. A truck driver from New York is charged with kidnapping an 8-year-old girl from a truck stop in western Nebraska. The U.S. Attorney's Office says 45-year-old William Buckner took the girl into Colorado. State authorities say the girl was abducted while her family was at a truck stop in Big Springs. It all happened last month. Lincoln police are looking into what caused a fight near 13th and D today. Officer Katie Flood says just before 4 a.m., neighbors called police after they thought they heard gunshots being fired. Police say witnesses reported seeing a group of 8 people arguing in the street when a young black male, about 20 years old, fired 3 to 4 shots into the group. He was then seen running from the scene.
When officers arrived, they were unable to locate any shell casings in the street and no in the area.
And police say they do not know what started the fight at this time. As of right now, there are no suspects, and they do not know if the shooting is related to another shooting that happened earlier this week. Let's turn to your weather now. We had a hot one today, and the heat index was up there too. Chief Meteorologist Kevin Costrin joins us from the Weather Center with the latest. Kevin.
Well, Rod, yesterday was just the humidity. Today was the heat and the humidity conspiring against us. 95 was the high temperature. The peak heat index in Lincoln was 106. That happened between 5 and 6 o'clock this afternoon. Yes, it was hot out there, one of the hottest days of the year, and oftentimes after that you get storms. Well, that's been the case for much of the day for the western half of Nebraska. As a matter of fact, right now there's severe weather south of Valentine, even a Doppler-indicated tornado warning out there in Cherry County. Some storms have been trying to develop south and southwest of Grand Island down into western Kansas for the last several hours. They've stayed just below severe limits for now. There are also storms to the northeast of Omaha, which may back build toward Lincoln overnight. So there still is a chance for storms in the capital city through the overnight hours. It'll be balmy out there with lows in the 70s, and tomorrow will be almost a carbon copy of today weather-wise. The rest is up to you. The weather details are coming up.
All right, thank you, Kevin. Well, the heat index may have reached into the hundreds today, but that didn't slow down competition at the Special Olympic Games. Medical volunteers from Bryan LGH and the Red Cross were on hand, keeping a close eye on all of the athletes, making sure they were well hydrated after competition and providing them with cold towels to cool down.
So they're just stressing stay hydrated, rest in the shade. I think when we provide the wet towels, they wrap them around their necks, and that really cools the body down.
Now, to stay hydrated, the Department of Health says you should be drinking 2 to 4 8-ounce glasses of water every hour when you're especially outside and doing things like they were doing today, running and exercising, and of course stay out of the direct heat as much as possible. Unemployment checks could begin flowing again to 2.5 million people as early as next week. Tops our national headlines. President Obama signed an extension of unemployment benefits for millions of long-term unemployed people. It caps a hard-fought political fight with Republicans. The measure restores benefits to people who have been out of work for 6 months or more.
He expressed his apologies for the events of the last several days.
President Barack Obama apologized by phone to Shirley Sherrod today. Ag Secretary Tom Vilsack fired her after a conservative blogger posted edited comments she made about race. Well, the speech was actually about racial harmony. Sherrod says she's considering a new position being offered by the USDA. Forecasters say Tropical Storm Bonnie has formed in the eastern Caribbean and is following a course that could take it over the site of the Gulf of Mexico oil spill. Some experts are worrying that hurricanes could generate winds and large waves that could push oil deeper into the wetlands areas. The government's spill chief says BP will be allowed to leave a temporary cap on its ruptured well during expected rough weather. And still ahead on Channel 8 Eyewitness News tonight, the Hendersons are learning to balance their meals and snacks with the food pyramid. Our Healthy Kids Start with Healthy Families report is next.
This is your Channel 8 Eyewitness News weather forecast.
Clear skies out of Nebraska Lottery Tower Cam 8. We have a warm and muggy evening going here in Lincoln. It was hotter today than it was yesterday and just about as humid, especially late this afternoon when those dew points skyrocketed to the mid to upper 70s.
Oh yeah. Thanks, Kevin. Coming up on Channel 8 Eyewitness News, Lincoln Fire is getting some recognition for some work it's doing, and we're not talking about putting out fires. Find out what it's all about after the break. You're watching Channel 8 Eyewitness News at 10. A Grand Island man accused of murder has been found guilty in a separate case. Mohammed Abu Qadir, who you see here, was convicted of conspiracy to distribute marijuana and aiding an attempted robbery. He's also facing first-degree murder charges in a shooting death of a man. The two incidents, by the way, happened less than a week apart. Some good news for Lincoln Fire and Rescue. Its Emergency Medical Service Fund is in the black for the third straight year, and Mayor Chris Byler says it could extend into a fourth straight year. He and Fire Chief Niles Ford also announced the fire department has paid off an interfund loan from the city's general fund. The department has been able to control costs and improve bill collection, something that has plagued fire departments across the country.
We count ourselves extremely fortunate to be in the position that we are in and to be able to discuss this in the way that we are discussing it. But we're going to be consistently diligent about maintaining the high level of service that we provide and maintaining the high level of business and professionalism that we've done up until this point.
Lincoln Fire also brings in money by contracting with the county for EMS services outside of the city of Lincoln. And still ahead on Channel 8 Eyewitness News Sports, the Salt Dogs look to take the series from Wichita, plus 4 Huskers have been tabbed to the All-Big 12 preseason team. Brettson next with all the details. You're watching Channel 8 Eyewitness News at 10.
Now, Channel 8 Eyewitness News Sports.
4 members of the Husker football team have been selected to the All-Big 12 preseason media team.
All right, thank you, Brett. Coming up in our health report, an update on the Lincoln family trying to lead a healthier lifestyle. Stay with us. In health news tonight, the Hendersons begin the second half of their Healthy Living Challenge. They're one of the families chosen by Time Warner Cable, Brian LGH, and Channel 8 to better their lifestyles. Kaylee Nicole brings us tonight's Healthy Kids Start with Healthy Families report.
You know the old saying, you can never have too much of a good thing? Well, the Henderson family says they're learning the hard way. That's not always the case.
I was kind of far off on the vegetable group. And the meat group too. I thought he would need more protein than what they say he needs.
As part of the Healthy Kids Start with Healthy Families Challenge, Dale Henderson met with the registered dietitian to piece together the food pyramid and begin planning out portions his family should be served. Brian LGH LifePoint registered dietitian Katie Walls says, like many American families, the Hendersons did have a few things they needed to work on, but nothing a little extra thought wouldn't help.
Focusing on those vegetables and also trying to watch the amount of sugar and fast food that they're consuming, making more meals at home and spending that time at the dinner table.
Their tips, the Hendersons say they don't think they'll have any trouble getting the hang of, because they say it was an easy to follow class that left lots of good ideas floating around.
They gave me some ideas for some healthy snacks for on the go, because we were on the go a lot, especially during the summer. So now I got ideas. Instead of prepackaged junk food, I can have healthy snacks for us.
The Hendersons told me while they've enjoyed all the cooking and nutrition classes they've taken so far this challenge, they say this one could have been the most helpful. I know we all look forward to seeing just how much it'll change their lives in the next couple of months.
You bet. Thank you, Kaylee. We'll be right back after the break.
It's going to be hot again tomorrow, maybe some storms late tonight.
All right, thanks, Kevin, and thank you for joining us. Have a great one. See you tomorrow.